Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome y'all back to the channel. My name is Chris with a beard, and today we're going to be discussing PTSD, a little more of a serious subject today. It's something that many people suffer from, mostly people that have served in the armed forces, but also people who have gone through traumatic events, whether it's their childhood or something current that happened and it's affecting their everyday life and kind of cognitive thinking and being able to, make it through the day can be difficult sometimes. There's plenty of weeks where you'll have, absolutely no triggers and nothing happening at all. And then there'll be days, weeks, maybe a month or longer that it's gonna be a lot tougher for someone to be able to get through the day, or have a panic attack, or certain things trigger how they may respond, react, talk, feel in that specific moment or time frame. So give you a little backstory from me. The reason that I'm making this video is that I was recently diagnosed with PTSD last year, and maybe a year and a half ago. But my wife was pregnant, and work, the job that I was doing at the time was very stressful, and I already had anxiety as it was. I had it since the fourth grade. And, I was on medication, went through therapy, and my therapists weren't that great. So, um, with all that being said, fast forward years later, I was off the medication that all these therapists were putting me on. I kind of felt like a guinea pig at the time. And it was just making me tired, and I just felt like kind of ghosted from, society. The medicine was just making me feel like more drawn away from reality, if that makes sense. And it took one doctor to say that I didn't need it anymore, that I can function without medication, live a normal life. So, like I said, wife was pregnant, had a rough job, finally out of it, thank God. But so I was going through a rough patch, and I had these like series of events. I was smoking marijuana, and I had recently stopped that, stopped caffeine, abruptly, and because I made a promise to myself that I was gonna stop doing the things that I didn't really need. I thought, at least for the marijuana aspect, it was I had a child on the way, and it was time to step up and be more of a man than I already was, and I had responsibilities coming. So stopped all those things, and my body just kind of like, whoa, hey, what are you doing? A series of events all happened, and why things happen, and why we have panic attacks, anxiety attacks, depression hits. It can all happen out of a whim, and it's just it's unexplainable. And that's basically what was going on with me. And I was having severe panic attacks. I felt sick. I was pacing back and forth. I didn't know how to like contain myself, or I didn't know what was going on. And I couldn't sleep. I was on the phone with my parents, and my wife didn't know what to do for me. My friends, yeah, I couldn't function at work. I couldn't like go through a whole entire shift without like having a freak out moment. And so my wife's like, you need to get into therapy. And I was reluctant because of the past and my childhood, with bad experiences and being pushed for taking medication and them trying to diagnose me with something just because my dad had it. You know, he has schizophrenia, but he did a lot of things in his younger days that were a contributing factor to that. So that was kind of like having that mindset and being told that, well, this, was a hereditary thing, and it obviously wasn't, but all these thoughts and things that happened to me from my youth and work stress and having a baby on the way, like, am I going to be a good father? And it just all like flooded in. And I guess I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to take it. And so I eventually, called, it was like a 2 hour assessment where they asked me a million questions on, do you feel this way, or do you, the normal hear voices, do you feel safe at home, blah blah blah, that type of stuff. And so I got through that, and I was assigned a therapist. It took like, I don't know, like a month and a half for me to finally, get into the actual therapy. And long story short, my therapist was amazing. He was awesome. We seen each other for probably a little over a year, and he asked me one time. He goes, "Do you want medication?" I said, "No. I want to be able to deal with things and be able to function in society without something that's gonna make me, stone face." So that was it. There was nothing ever said after that. So we talked on how I was feeling, what was going on every week, how I was dealing things, coping skills, and trying to get through it. And he was very helpful. And it took a while for me to finally gain my composure. And I was blaming on stop smoking. I was blaming it on abruptly stopping caffeine, which all could have been contributing factors. But I gonna put out another video about the whole caffeine situation. But anyways, I was blaming those things and not really looking at what was really going on, what was um, the real issue at hand. And I didn't know that because my body was going haywire. I didn't understand anything. And now that I did graduate therapy, he was very helpful. And I think at the it was either a couple months, maybe the 6 month mark, tested me for PTSD. And they asked me a bunch of questions and kind of, stuff about my past and how maybe some traumatic events could have led up to that. And they basically take that evaluation and they have to take it to their superiors because they can't just be like, yeah, it sounds like PTSD, and then you're diagnosed. No, it has to go through someone else, and they kind of look through the evaluation and then they decide. So it's not like you can be like, oh, one day, I have PTSD, and then like tell everyone about it. And it's not really like a proud thing to be proud of, like, hey, I got this, because obviously it's a very, very, very serious subject and, illness for a lot of people. So, anyways, had the evaluation, took it to the superiors, talked the next, I think it was a week or two, because it was, every week, or could be every couple times a week. And then it got spaced out as things got better. And he says, yes, you have PTSD. I may not have it as severe or bad as others, but having it, I can be able to relate, and I want to be able to bring this into the community and be able to have others share their stories, and have it in the comment section. If you need to talk, or if you need you know to vent, or you're going through a rough patch, like I can be a person who can help you, and maybe not exactly relate to your situation, but I'm a good listener, and I'm a good advice giver, and I'm I want to help other people because I still struggle with this. I've have, rough weeks, and I'll have, a month where I'm completely good. Like I'll have small little triggers here and there that, whether it's from my past that I've dealt with, and then something triggers that, and then like I always think like when I get into that like panic mode, anxiety, like I just try to remember my therapy, my coping mechanisms, and how I can get myself out of the situation before my mind just wanders and then I'm stuck. And then it's harder to dig myself out of that. So that I can relate with. Um, so that's basically the story of how I got diagnosed with PTSD, the triggers and how to cope and stuff like that. I'm not going to really dig into that because if someone, if you got something to share or, want to message me, I'll have my links in the description for, my Instagram and stuff like that. So, you can message me or, share a story, comment. Someone can definitely relate to this video. And I just figured I'd share my story and get that out there, and hopefully, I can touch someone to be able to. Not everyone can talk about this and be okay with it without it sending them into, a panic attack or some anxiety and trigger. I'm at the point where I can at least talk about it. It could bring back thoughts. I think about things, but I'm able to handle a lot better than I could a year and a half, 2 years ago. So, for anyone new and, following, leave a like on the video if this was vital information that you can pass on to someone else, and subscribe to the channel, and you can see more videos where I talk about different types of variety and things that I can hopefully help anyone out with. My name's Chris with a beard, and only together we can discover the beard difference.